Uh-oh, something happened to the sound. Lindsay, we can't hear him.
Can't hear me at all?
Oh, now we can hear you. Okay.
Almost, I think maybe your thumb went over it. It sounded like your thumb went over the speaker.
Okay, we're good.
Start over again?
Yeah.
Hi.
I got Minnesota.
So I was just telling you a little bit about myself, kind of where I've come from. I lived in Minnesota for about 8 years, and then before that here in Arkansas, so I kind of left, and now I've come back. I've been here about a year or so, and I joined Cypress back in August when we opened, part of the opening team. And it's been great being a part of this from the very beginning. And have you all been to Cypress Social here yet? Anybody? Or is this going to be a first time for?
Lindy has.
I have.
Perfect. Okay. So then I'm excited for you all to come and join us hopefully sometime. Hopefully these tomatoes that I'm going to show you today will kind of be one reason to come hang out with us here at Cypress Social. But we're the old, in the old location that Cock the Walk was back in the day. I don't know if you're familiar with Cock the Walk.
Yes.
So when they closed down, the Keats, who own Petite and Keat across the river, and all the Tzatziki's, they bought this place. We completely redid it. It looks brand new, and now it's Cypress Social. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
So,
Awesome.
all right. Well, then, if I mentioned our fried green tomatoes, that's what I'm going to show you. That's our #1 appetizer that we have. So I thought there's no better one to show you. So kind of give you a brief overview of what we're going to learn today and what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the breading technique that we use here. It's pretty straightforward and easy, but it's just our technique that how we bread the tomatoes, and then we're going to be deep frying them. And I'm going to show you a little remoulade that we garnish it with, and how to make that. It's super quick and easy remoulade. So that's the first thing I'm going to show you, and then we'll do the tomatoes. So it should be pretty quick and easy. Is there any questions straight off the bat before we jump in? Anybody have anything?
I think we're good to go.
Excellent. Okay. All right. All the recipes, by the way, will be online later. You have all that, so you don't need to have your notebooks ready and like be writing all the stuff down. I'm just going to kind of give you the instructions how to make it. But the first thing I'm going to start with is about 1.5 cups of mayonnaise. I have that in my bowl here, and then I'm going to add into that some Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to add in some lemon juice, some Creole mustard, some hot sauce. We're using Louisiana hot sauce, but you can use kind of your favorite preferred hot sauce, whatever you like. The last two ingredients are a little bit of cayenne pepper and a little bit of paprika. And I'm just going to stir these together. You can use a spoon. I like a whisk. That's the best thing to use, but you can use a whisk also, or a spoon rather. Once this is all incorporated, kind of give you a look here. Just it's going to be kind of thin. That's what you're looking for. Then we're going to add a little bit of parsley, about a tablespoon or so, and you can just chop that fairly finely. It doesn't need to be, super fine. Just a chop on the parsley. Whisk that in, and of course season with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then the last thing that we add in for our remoulade here, we take a dill pickle, and I'm going to use about half of this dill pickle. And for this, you just want to dice it fairly small. Like for me, I wouldn't want any huge chunks of dill pickle in there.
And I just want to comment that nobody has to write this down. You have these instructions and you have these ingredients emailed to you.
So a small dice on this, I kind of show you on my knife here, kind of the size. I'm going to bring that toward the computer there. So that's about the size you're looking for. And again, for me, what I say, perfection's not the goal. It's going to taste great. So make sure it tastes great, and then perfection will come later on down the road, okay? So just mix all that together, and that's it. On that remoulade, we're gonna give it a taste to make sure it's good. Check the seasoning on the salt. That's the first thing I do when you make a recipe. Just make sure it tastes great. That tastes great. So that's our remoulade. Super fast and easy, okay? Next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna slice my green tomatoes. So I believe like a natural grocer up off of Rodney Parham or the fresh market on Cantrell, they carry the green tomatoes. If you go to like a fresh farmer's market, they'll probably have them too. These green tomatoes, give them about a 1/4-inch slice or so. And I'm just going to show 3 slices. Okay, so now that those are sliced, for our breading, we use a wet and a dry method for breading. So for the dry first, we use a cornmeal flour mixture. It's 2 parts cornmeal to 1 part flour. So for here, it would be 2 cups cornmeal, 1 part flour, or 1 cup rather. So mix those together. Again, season with a little bit of salt, a bit of pepper. We'll just set that aside. All right, for the wet ingredients here, I have about 1.5 cups of buttermilk, and then 3 eggs. All right, and I'm going to whisk these together here. And then again, season also a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. All right. I'm gonna put on a pair of gloves here.
Y'all can unmute and ask questions along the way too. If you think of one, just unmute yourself.
How many people does this recipe serve?
For what I'm showing you, it'll just be like 1 serving. But if you're going to serve more people, this one would probably, you have enough here probably for 10 servings probably for the recipe that I wrote for you. So I'm just going to demo 1 serving, but there'll be enough of the egg mixture and the buttermilk and the flour. You probably get at least 10 servings out. So
That'd be a great lunch.
absolutely, yeah. All right. So anyone else have questions before I start on the tomatoes?
How green? Like how firm?
Sorry, what was the question?
How firm or how green are those green tomatoes? Like if they're a little red or a little pink, is that not going to
Yeah,
work?
if they're pink or red, they're still fine to use. Totally fine.
Okay.
These are pretty green.
And
Right.
I'm assuming that's all-purpose flour, right? That you use?
Correct. Yep, just standard flour, and then a fine milk on the cornmeal. So not the like kind of polenta, the grit size, but a really fine mill on the cornmeal. All right. So how I do my breading here, I just have my tomatoes in there. I sprinkle flour on top, and they're just nicely coated. They're not. They're going to go 2 times into the flour here. So the first one is fairly light on the breading. And then into the egg here. And here, just dunk them, make sure they're completely soaked with the egg and buttermilk mixture. I'm gonna go back into the flour that's over here, okay? All right, so once they are back into this one, we can repeat our first process again, sprinkle the flour on top. This time, what I like to do is just give them a little push down into that flour. That'll help the breading stick to those tomatoes a little bit nicely or a little bit better. It doesn't fall off into the oil. And I'm just going to set them to the side. Right over. All right, let's talk about oil real quick. So my oil here is in my little cast iron skillet that I have. You can use any pot that you have at home. For me, I make sure that the oil is no further up the pot than about halfway up the side, so that you don't have a boil over or it doesn't spill over or anything like that. For the temperature, we're looking about 325 to 350 degrees, somewhere in that window of temperature. Okay. So this is just about there. I'll maybe give it a couple more minutes. I'll have to stall just a little bit. It's about 310 degrees. So I want to make sure it's up to that, at least 325. If it goes in cold, like about 300 degrees or so, not hot enough, your breading is going to end up being soggy and kind of oil saturated, and it won't be nice, light, and crispy because the oil didn't fry that flour, kind of just soaked it up. So that's kind of a little secret and tip about deep frying.
Is there a kind of vegetable oil that you prefer?
A vegetable oil is totally great. That's totally fine. Here we use in the restaurant a peanut blend
Okay.
of the oil. But really, any vegetable or a peanut oil is great. It's fine.
Okay, I didn't know if you preferred safflower or avocado or something.
Sure. Those are super great oils. They're a little expensive for deep frying because you have to use quite a bit to get enough in your pot.
Yeah.
So I would prefer just to go to like a vegetable oil.
Okay.
On the cheaper end for that.
Could you do one of the others if you preferred, like an avocado oil?
I probably would not use avocado oil just because it's expensive and you would have to use a lot of it to fill up what you would need in the pot. So,
Okay.
And some of those oils, like I know olive oil smokes pretty easily at a high temperature, don't they?
correct. So olive oil would probably be the least, or probably the worst choice of all the oils because of the smoke point. Exactly. So there's smoke points in oils, and different oils will catch on fire and smoke at different temperatures. So olive oil is on the low end of the temperature spectrum, so it'll burn first. So that would be the reason why you wouldn't want to use olive oil. So you'd want to use a high smoke point oil. And some of the oils, you can look on the back, and sometimes they'll give the smoke point in a temperature, so you can look for that. But all canola oil, vegetable oil, all that is totally great to use for deep frying. The other thing that obviously you would need to have, or if you don't have one of these, I'm going to show you a trick how to see if your oil is hot enough, but just a digital thermometer or even a little one with a dial on it, just so you can know how hot your oil is. So you just put it in this an instant read, so it reads pretty fast. All right, we are almost there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification. You only dipped your tomato in the egg sauce once, is that correct? Between the two flours?
Correct. Yep. So I started with the flour so that the egg has something to stick to on the tomato.
I see.
So then you kind of make it flour first, and then you go to your egg, and then once that's wet, back to your flour. So that does a couple of things. Like I said, it helps the egg stick onto that tomato. Also, it gives your crust a little thickness, right? So kind of doubling the thickness of it there. Any other questions? We're just about ready to go.
I have a question on your instant thermometer. Where do you suggest we get an instant thermometer?
Where do you suggest I get it? Is that what you asked? Sorry.
Yes, I'm looking for. I've tried to find them in the past, and nothing's ever worked. But that's a different looking one than I've ever seen.
Right. You don't have to get one exactly like this one. This one is more like a professional grade one. I got this one off Amazon. It's like $25. I know Kroger has other ones. Taylor is the brand. that is, Kroger has those. But I would just look on Amazon. That's the easiest place just to go and kind of browse. That's where I got this one. All right, so like I said, if you don't have a thermometer, then one little trick is to take a little piece of a little bit of the flour and dip it into oil. And if it bubbles right away, then you know that that oil is hot enough and you're ready to start frying. So right when I put it in, it went up and bubbled. So I'm going to drop these in. And now a lot of people are scared they're going to get burned by the oil when they drop it in. And that's absolutely true if you are way up high and you drop it in. Because some people think, oh, if I'm far away, then I won't get burned. But then you're going to create a splash and it's going to potentially burn you. So what I do is gently lay the tomato in and just set it in there. All right. And that's the sure way you're not going to get splashback. All right. Now, how long? You're asking probably, right? So they're gonna want to come up and float when they're done. So that's one way to tell. Also, just tell by the color. They should look nice and golden brown and crispy. So we'll just wait until that happens. I'm guessing about 2 to 3 minutes on this. So while that's cooking, I'm going to talk a little bit about how we do it in the restaurant. So there's one more ingredient in the restaurant that we use on our plate. So since you guys haven't been here, I'll kind of explain our plate that we do. So the other ingredient that I included the recipe for you all, that is our house-made pepperdew cheese, which is very similar to a pimento cheese. The only difference is really we just use pepperdews, which is a kind of like a cherry-sized pepper. They're sweet, a little bit spicy. That's what goes into our pepperdew cheese. If you want to make that, the recipe is included, like I said. If you don't, I would just go and buy a pimento cheese. If you want to recreate our dish, that would be kind of a little shortcut to create our dish here. But for presentation on our plate, we put some pepperdew down and just kind of spread it on the bottom, just like that. And then our tomatoes, they just sit on the plate right here in the center. We give a little drizzle of remoulade around it and then finish with some sauteed shrimp. So that's our dish. For you all at home, if you want to keep it super simple, you could just do the tomatoes and the remoulade, and that's honestly super delicious. Next level would be giving a little pepperdew love on the bottom, and then you want to be crazy, put some shrimp on there. So that's how we do it here at Cypress.
My mouth is watering.
I have one more question.
Yep.
This pepperdew cheese,
Yep.
how many does it serve, the recipe you gave us?
That's going to be, well, okay. That's a trick question. I see what you're doing. For me, that's one serving because I love that so much. I would just eat it all by myself. But probably realistically for the plate, you could probably serve again about 10 people. So.
Thank you.
Yep. And how much you put on the plate and stuff, like I said, I like a lot of it, so.
So you're just putting a tablespoon or two on one?
I would probably put about 3 tablespoons on the
Okay. So you've given us more recipes to play with here.
Correct.
I'm not sure this is a fair playing field if we get 3 from Cypress Social.
I know. That's right.
Well, you've very generous. Not all restaurants share their recipes, particularly for their popular appetizers. So you've been very generous with your recipes.
Yes. What do you serve this pepperdew cheese with? Tortillas or?
Well, there's 2 dishes that we have with pepperdew. The first one, or the one I'm talking about today, is with our fried green tomatoes. So it's just on the bottom, and then the tomatoes will sit right on top. Okay. Our second other dish that this goes on is just a bowl of our pepperdew cheese with some house-made crackers, like a lavash crispy cracker, and that's absolutely super delicious too. So that's for our other pepperdew cheese.
Erin, did I see that the pepperdew cheese was also could be put on the burger?
Yes.
Seems
yes.
like
You
I've
can
seen
put
it
that
on something else there.
You can put it on the burger. It's on the chicken sandwich that we have.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You can put it on anything, I think.
It's really almost like a condiment that
Yes,
just kind of, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we know you're on Maumelle. What are your hours? Are you open for dinner and lunch or just dinner?
Yeah, currently we're only open just for dinner.
Okay.
We start at 4 for our happy hour. Happy hour goes from 4 to 6. And then if you want to come in for dinner, the dinner menu starts at 5 in the afternoon. And then on Monday through Thursday, we close at 10 o'clock. And then on the weekend, Friday and Saturday, we're open until 11 o'clock.
But y'all are
Then
closed. Y'all are
closed on-
closed today. And closed on Sundays.
Closed only on Sundays. We're open today.
You are open today? Oh, okay.
I do highly, highly recommend reservations. They take reservations and they usually book about a week out. So, so that just a little tip from a Maumelle person, you need reservations. So,
Yeah, it's I mean, not mandatory. You can come in and just come in anytime. So we're not reservation only, that's for sure. But we are popular and we're new, so a lot of people do try to check us out. So
What
all
are,
right, go ahead.
what are other menu items you would recommend that we try out? Obviously, the fried green tomatoes.
Obviously, you got to check these fried green tomatoes out.
the cornbread,
The cornbread is so great. Our chef Sarah Horton, she has mastered that cornbread recipe, and it's so good. If you're looking for our entree, our catfish recipe goes back around 40-ish years. It's a secret recipe. Some people say it's the best in the state. You know, obviously everyone's biased. I think it is. So you have to come and test it out yourself and see if you agree. Our redfish pontchartrain is another popular entree that we have. It's served with a bed of rice, our redfish, and then topped with a really delicious sauce with shrimp and crab and onions and mushrooms, and it's kind of smothered over the top.
Oh, yummy.
We do an interesting take on shrimp and grits. Most people are familiar with creamy style grits with shrimp and sauce. Ours is a little different. It's a deep fried crab or a deep fried grit cake. So we make the grits and then deep fry them, and then it's a little more crispy, crunchy, and then it gets topped with a delicious sauce over the top of the shrimp. So it's a little
You
bit
had
different.
me at deep fried.
Of course, everything is deep fried. No, just kidding. Not everything is deep fried.
No.
And then we do have like a fillet, and our butcher steak is one of the best also as far as the selling, most popular. So
One last question. I promise this is the last one.
Go ahead, Judy.
I noticed you're using a cast iron pot. Is that correct?
yes,
How
it
do
is.
you
Yeah.
how do you clean it?
So for me, when I get a cast iron, the first thing that I would do is you would season it, which only means you coat it in oil and you put it in the oven for about 1 hour at about 500 degrees, and that'll essentially bake that oil onto the pan and create a nonstick coating. And then once you have that established, the best way to care for it is just to wipe it with a damp cloth, and do that every time. Make sure there's not any moisture in your pot so that it doesn't get rusty, and then just maintain it. And that's it. So they're pretty easy, and I love using cast iron. I like cast iron for this reason too. It retains the heat and keeps things hot longer than maybe a stainless steel pot would. So as far as heat retention, it's one of the best.
Any final questions? Okay, shoppers, start your carts. You've got your ingredient list and take it to wherever you shop, and we'll see the reports from you with your voting on the website. Please call us if you have questions about how to do that, or if it didn't make sense, and we'll help walk you through that. We want this to be fun and interactive, And if you don't get around to voting, that's okay. This is a friendly competition with 4 great restaurants, and we are so appreciative of Chef Aaron and Lindsay, who's behind the camera, literally.
Her arms are probably tired from holding the camera.
Thank you, Lindsay, for being here. Thank you for coming in on your day off, Chef. And we just really appreciate knowing more about your restaurant, and can't wait to get frying up some tomatoes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. The last thing I'll show you real quick is just how I would plate it here in our restaurant.
Yes.
So the pepperoni cheese, they're on the bottom of the plate. I just put the tomatoes on top of that cheese. And then for the remoulade, just use a little spoon. I would just put some right on top.
I'm so hungry right now.
I know.
And that would pretty much it. I have a little extra parsley that I had from earlier from that remoulade. Just put a parsley on top. And then I did make a little bit of shrimp. I know y'all are hungry, so I'm just going to keep egging you on a little bit here.
Thank you. I could also see all this on a bed of salad greens too. Wouldn't that be a
Correct,
beautiful
yeah.
salad?
Yep.
Yeah.
Turn this into a salad. So I would just put maybe some shrimp on there, and that would be my lunch. So,
Oh, yum.
Absolutely.
all righty. Thank you guys so
Okay.
much. Any other
Thank you.
questions or anything you'd like to ask before we go?
Bon appetit.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Perfect, you're
that's
welcome.
awesome. Thank you, Aaron.
Y'all
Of course,
enjoy
I'll see you all
that.
soon.
We'll come in person. Thank you, guys.
All
Okay,
right.
y'all, we'll see you
Thank
next
you.
week. Thank you, Chef.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lindsay and Aaron, if you want to hang around just a minute, we'll say a couple wrap-up words to you too. But bye, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and I think Ann, I don't know, there's,
I just put
okay.
them in the waiting room.
Okay, well, they didn't know how to leave. Okay, thank you so much. I'm so
You're so welcome.
impressed.
Yeah, this is really good. And I'm sorry you were rushed.
No worries.
Let-
It went totally fine. Sorry about that once again. That was completely my fault.
It's fine. It really was. We had a lot of rules to go over and a lot of logistics about how to even log into our website. And that took about